Throughout the course of history, most rebellions have something in common: unhappy, young men. Today, I'm making a different type of video. So for those of you who have seen me from my Apex content, I'm still going to be working on that, just today's a different type of video. We're going to be watching some parts of the video, How to Radicalize a Generation of Young Men by Aperture, and analyzing the key points that were made. Grab a snack, and put your thinking cap on. Here we go!
What happens to a society that neglects its young men? We often act like the days of propaganda are long gone, faded away in wartime eras from decades ago. But if you look closely, it's happening all over again, with new, friendlier faces, but the exact same tactics. From gaming communities to fitness, productivity, and finance, everywhere young men turn today is being co-opted by radical ideologies.
Think about your Andrew Tates, your Jordan Petersons, and even your Donald Trumps. All of these men practice different forms of radicalization. The difference, to me, is that all of them invoke some level of logic and relatability without pushing their adoptees into enacting violence. And don't say that Trump told people to storm the White House. I'm gonna use your own terminology for that. You are spreading misinformation.
Starting with a truth that is hard to ignore, today's generation of males are lost and beginning to fall through the cracks. In almost every corner of the world, you'll find variations of the same story. Rising unemployment rates, loneliness at record highs, and a society that seems to fluctuate between mocking or ignoring their struggles. The expectations? Don't complain, be strong, and figure it out. The reality? A bunch of lost souls, isolated and compelled to search for a place where they matter.
I, for one, do feel this way. I'm working what I feel to be a dead-end job. My social circle is one friend from college, and the random Apex Legends teammates that I get who have no mics. And I got no hoes. I don't want you to think I'm so misogynistic that I call all girls hoes, but all the ones that I've gone for, dog, come on, I mean... Shit. Anyway, my point still stands. I do feel this way. The best word for what I feel most days is lost. That feeling that you want life to get better, but you have no feasible plan. That feeling that you think other people understand, but when you try to talk about it, they just find a way to turn the conversation back about themselves again. The feeling that you're just existing, you don't have any purpose, no higher calling, you don't belong to any team, organization. You may even feel alienated against your own country/countries, right? Like, a lot of us are feeling that way now, especially with the economy. And that's how I feel a lot. And we're gonna get deeper into this, but I want you all to do one thing and one thing only. Think for yourself.
Here's the thing about neglecting them. It's not just harmful, it's dangerous. History has shown us the consequences of this in many shapes and sizes. When they feel abandoned, they don't just disappear. Instead, they tend to gravitate towards the people and ideologies that promise to fill the void. Take Germany post-World War I, for example. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was brutal on the German economy, leaving much of the nation's working class, a generation of young men, angry, desperate, and ashamed. From the rubble of a broken nation came along someone who told them exactly what they wanted to hear. You're not the problem, they are. It's not difficult to picture why they accepted this. While we may look back on these events as sinister, they gravitated towards a sense of purpose from this silver-tongued stranger. That man, of course, was Adolf Hitler.
This is why you cannot go down the extremist rabbit hole. In today's day and age, it absolutely sucks to be a man. But the reality is that it sucks in general. It's not any one person or group who is against you, unless you're Coyote and you got your own version of Roadrunner. The thing about being a man that I find to be insufferable is simply that people don't care. The only people in the world who care about you unconditionally, and that's if you're lucky, are your parents, and maybe your siblings and immediate family. That does not mean, however, that you let it destroy your own personal morals. If any of you have seen the show Vinland Saga, it's one of the best anime made ever. period, point blank. This line is one that resonates with me.
You don't have enemies. The truth is that nobody has them.
Today, neglected guys aren't rallying in public squares. They're opening their phones and going online.
You should 100% be able to imply what the potential consequences of this are. Picture the worst extreme. Imagine if Hitler had access to the internet. The Nazis wouldn't be isolated to Germany. There would be radicalists in all countries through something as simple as Discord or WhatsApp. That is terrifying, bro, and that seems to be the natural state that the world is headed towards, unless we, the young men, think and act rationally, learn from our history books, and find ways to succeed without corrupting our morals. I don't know the way yet. I don't know what it is yet. But all I know is we shouldn't resort to violent and radicalized ideologies when it comes to topics such as politics or finances.
And it's why empathy matters now more than ever. Because if the world keeps treating people like this as the enemy, it's only going to make them more vulnerable to radical ideologies.
This is without a doubt a fact. Many of us feel already isolated, and many men have fallen for the traps. There's a reason that Andrew Tate is as rich as he is. How many students does he have again? We must be mentally strong and remain rational/logical. Once the young men become an emotional mess due to the stress of life, I think society will have a rude awakening. And history tends not to only repeat itself, but also escalate from times past. I don't get why people are not seeing that.
When adolescent men turn to online communities, they don't go in with grand ideas of world domination or politics. They're often looking for simple things like advice, connection, or even just a bit of escapism.
And who does? Who wakes up in the morning and wants to hate on the world? All of us should want the same thing: happiness and stability. The problem is that the world at times is forcing us to feel that way. But I will say this again. You have to think for yourself and remain rational.
An example is the Übermensch, someone who is superhuman. It's an idea proposed by Nietzsche on an ideal future human who is capable of creating values based on one's experience of life. This is often used to fit a narrative that aligns with the frustrations of a core population of males. In a manipulative fashion, the narrative subtly shifts from self-improvement to a dangerous ideology of individualism and superiority at the expense of others.
Now this is important. Based on the definition that is given to us by Aperture, the Übermensch would actually be something to strive for. You want to live life in accordance with your life circumstances. You want to hold beliefs based on things that have happened to you. The problem is, you can't let others think for you. That might sound bad, but I hope you all are paying attention to what I'm saying. I don't think that the Nazis all hated the Jews, and I certainly don't think that all the Nazis wanted to commit murder. The problem is they all stopped thinking and just followed orders. They were no longer individuals. They had become a collective group whose sole purpose was to act and not to think. Bringing that into a context that some people can understand today. Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson say a lot of logical things, and it's fine to agree with them on some topics. The problem starts when you idealize them and agree with them on all of their topics. It's okay to listen to Andrew Tate when he tells you to work out and get off your lazy ass. That's fucking fine. Do that. Go work out. It's okay to have positive masculinity. That's the difference. You can't do some of the shit that these people are saying in their courses, you know? Like, some of it is just not right. And it's fine. Just everything in life is on a spectrum. You're either in the middle, leaning left, leaning right, or at a fucking extreme. You do not want to let yourself fall to an extreme, is what I'm saying. Don't go far left, don't go far right. Stay logical and rational and pick your place in the spectrum, relatively close to the middle, I think.
What was once a philosophical idea on courage and free will turns into a chapter for a playbook on subservience and conformity. A younger, impressionable man still grappling with feelings of inadequacy finds this explanation comforting. It offers a sense of purpose, one that asks him to rise above others, to dominate, and to overcome weakness. Not through compassion and understanding, but through strength and exclusion. Yet for what feels like the first time ever, he's not receiving a keep your head down and work hard speech from his father. This influencer feels like an older brother who cares, and his charismatic delivery combined with an appealing lifestyle with flashy cars, bundles of cash, and a handful of women make the ideology seem both attainable and justified.
I don't have a flashy lifestyle, loads of cash, or loads of women. In fact, I've only ever had one girlfriend in my life. With that said, the only thing that I do have to me are my morals and personal code of ethics. That's all that a lot of us have.
You hear things like, the Matrix is attacking you. Instead of questioning the flaws or nuances, the young man accepts the influencer's words. Right or wrong ceases to matter in an attempt to find warmth away from his vulnerabilities. The same pattern emerges in spaces about making money. They might sign up to learn about side hustles or investing only to be bombarded with rhetoric about how society is rigged against them. And the only way to win is to become a member of a collective of enlightened men. These thrive on an us versus them mentality. You're either part of the tribe or you're one of the sheep. The actual money making is down to some limited edition method hidden behind a $5,000 masterclass. What ties all of this together is a calculated strategy. These infiltrators aren't just sharing ideas, they're targeting insecurities.
That's the key takeaway for me. What do you think I'm gonna say? Think for yourself. No matter who you are in contact with in life or business, everyone is out for themselves and is looking to take advantage of you. Most people are not only looking to take advantage of whatever they can take advantage from you, they're especially looking to take advantage of you. Most employers are that way. Once you understand this, you yourself can determine your own individual right versus wrong. Not everyone will agree with your moral compass, but if we all live this exact way, by thinking for ourselves, we can, as a collective, improve the world through our own individual means. And that's not the goal. I myself don't care about the world. I do care about everyone who feels a similar way to me. I do care about my immediate friends and family. I care about the people who get shafted day in and day out, the people who put efforts into things and get nothing. These are the people who I care about. But the thing is, you still have to treat everyone with respect. Why? Because that's the main way I've improved my own life, by being kind to everyone in the same way. Whether you care about them or not. That's my way of helping the world, I think. And I think if enough of us improve our own lives and our own quality of life, there will be a major societal change for the positive, for the better. And I really do hope that something like this happens soon.
Let's go back to the 1930s. Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda master of the Nazi regime, understood one critical idea. Control the narrative and you control the people. Using this concept as a base for his actions, he was able to focus on crafting speeches carefully, creating visually striking rallies and producing a constant flow of ideological posters and films. He didn't only communicate ideas, he made them inescapable. Young German men weren't forced to be genocidal, they walked right into it. It doesn't have to make sense to the entire world, but rather to the target audience.
Control the narrative, and you control the people. This can only work if the people are vulnerable enough to once again let someone else think for them. If everyone thought logically and deeply thought about their situations, then they'd never be controlled to such an extent. Just take a look at this.
Take it from Goebbels himself. It's not propaganda's task to be intelligent, its task is to lead to success.
Now, isn't that something?
By studying these historical parallels, one thing becomes crystal clear. Radicalization is rarely ever about the ideology itself, instead it's the delivery, the emotion, and most importantly, the promise of belonging.
This is the last thing that I'm going to cover regarding this video, but if you haven't, go watch the original video for yourself and let me know what your key takeaways from it are. With that said, we're not quite done yet. Radicalization is about the delivery and the promise of belonging. this is true. Andrew Tate doesn't just mumble his message across to you, he fucking roars that shit. That's why young men resonate with him, because of his delivery. And it's okay to want belonging, we all need our tribe, but you also gotta be comfortable being by yourself. I might not be the best role model in terms of socializing, I only have one close friend, as I've said earlier, but I have my parents. That's a major support for me. And that makes me an expert at being alone, I guess. I'm not really alone, but a lot of the times I'm working on my own. And this is gonna be a cliche, but there really is a difference between being alone and being lonely. I've felt lonely a lot, and it's a tough weapon. It's a tough thing to weaponize. Emotion into productivity, loneliness into productivity is a really tough thing to change. I myself have not had success in doing so. I've noticed, however, when I'm alone and I'm focused on something, whether that's the gym, video games, editing, writing, whatever it is I'm focused on, I don't feel lonely because there's a part of my brain that's working towards something new. And I think that's because we don't need to go with everyone and follow the crowd. We just need to focus on the things that we're passionate about and find ways to make money off of them so that we can stay sane in this insane society that we live in. And again, if you've taken anything away from this video, I'll say it one more time. Think for yourself. It's fine to be vulnerable, but always remain logical, and never let anybody think for you. Think for yourself.